RFG2 removal to bring it back inside for refurbishment. Rebecca Wingfield will actually be the flight director lead for the first EVA, which we call the microorganisms EVA. Just going a little bit more into details on the two EVAs, Laurel will actually be the one doing the microorganism swabs. There'll be a caddy, we'll show that in a little bit. While Andy, again, is on the arm replacing one of our high definition cameras, as Dana mentioned. Again, what's interesting about this operation relative to replacing that camera is we will be doing it on the end of the robotic arm on space station, but controlling the arm from the ground. Normally when we do EVAs, any robotic operations that are happening on board are conducted by the crew on board the spacecraft. But again, over many years, we've done a lot of advancements in being able to operate the robotic arm from the ground to do things like science experiments or replacing other pieces of equipment on the outside of the space station. So this is just expanding our operational envelope of being able to, again, operate the arm with a crew member outside. Additionally, by doing this, it actually helps us develop some ops concepts that we can apply to the Gateway program as part of Artemis. Gateway will also have a robotic arm, and some of the tests of operations that we'll be doing as part of this EVA will help us inform the ops concepts for that future program. On the second EVA, the one that I am leading, the RFG2, as we call it, this is, again, to retrieve the radio frequency group. We attempted to retrieve this earlier this year, but had issues removing it from a stanchion that's on the outside of the space station. Unfortunately, we really need to get the RFG off of that stanchion to be able to put it back inside of the airlock, again, to bring it home and refurb it. So teams on the ground have spent many months kind of analyzing why we weren't able to remove it last time. And we have a pretty solid plan that we've practiced and developed with an additional tool that Sandy Fletcher will show us in a little bit to be able to remove that RFG again from the stanchion and bring it inside. Overall, the plans and preparations for the two spacewalks coming up have been going on for many months. But over the past month or so, it's been going into high gear where we've got more development runs in the neutral buoyancy lab to really hone in our procedures and plans. And then the ground flight control teams have all been practicing in simulations to look at the various contingencies to be ready on those spacewalk days to support the crew. And then additionally, the crew on board, Andy, Laurel, and Jaws, who we talked to this morning, are all studying their procedures and plans and are ready to go out the door next week. So really, we're on what we call the road to EVA. It's a very busy time getting ready for the two spacewalks over the next couple of weeks. And with that, I'll hand it over to Farouk, who is the lead EVA officer for the first spacewalk.
Thank you. And so for the microorganisms EVA, really this is kind of 3 EVAs in a single EVA. So for one portion of it, Laurel is going to be doing the microorganism sampling, and she's going to be doing that at the airlock as well as on the lab. In addition to that, she's going to go out to do the DC to DC converter unit jumper task. And this is a jumper that we're going to be installing on the P4 integrated equipment assembly task out on P4 element of the truss. So with that, we're installing a jumper to allow us to share power in the case of a contingency jumper failure. And then so while she is doing that task, Andy, he is going to be primarily on the robotic arm doing the high-def camera replacement task. After they are complete with both of those tasks, they will join together for the alpha magnetic spectrometer assessment. They're going to be going out to the alpha magnetic spectrometer, and they're going to be looking at the work site for a future EVA. So involved in this, they will need to get underneath some beta cloth, and then they're going to assess a patch panel. And then with that, I have a video to show more of the details of the EVA.
U.S. Spacewalk 89 will be conducted by Laurel O'Hara as EV-1 with the red stripes and Andreas Mogensen as EV-2. EV-1 will egress the airlock and stow the microorganisms caddy on their swing arm. EV-2 will retrieve a medium-sized bag with a high-definition camera in it. After a quick buddy check, EV-2 will translate up the truss to the port side to set up for their next task. They will drop their safety tether as well at this location. Meanwhile, EV1 will begin the microorganism sampling by first getting a control sample in free space. Then they will flip the microorganisms caddy to get to the sample side, open the thermal cover, and then take a sample of the vestibule area with the first sample from the caddy. They will then take a sample of the thermal cover itself. When complete, they will close the thermal cover and get another sample on the aft side of the airlock between two handrails. Once complete, EV1 will translate to the aft nadir portion of the lab to get a sample of the carbon dioxide removal assembly vent. This will be the first of 3 vent sample locations on the lab. EV1 will then translate ISS forward on the lab to the port side to get a sample from the